Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Capital Cineforum. We're doing a crossover with this TS TV show called The Current. They do debates, there's news, and politics, and sports, and entertainment, and stuff like that. It's rad. And
Floppy tubes.
That's true. He said the truth. And we're going to do film stuff, because there's film people here. It's going to be film versus digital, and like remakes, and a lot of really fun, rad stuff. So, yeah. Tonight on CCF, we're going to be screening a short documentary by Cheyenne Esgarnia titled Her Name Was Max.
It's a short documentary about increased gun control on campus following the Virginia Tech shooting. Hope you enjoy.
My name is John Woods, here on behalf of myself. If you don't mind, I clocked this at exactly 3 minutes. I didn't realize it.
Don't worry about it.
Thank you, sir. Members of the committee, thank you. My name is John Woods. I have a concealed handgun permit. I'm a doctoral student in molecular biology at the University of Texas, and I'm against this bill. I was at home in bed, I think. I say I think because, so there were two shootings, so it's kind of weird to figure out the timeline, but I was definitely asleep for the first one, which was like 7:30 a.m. And that happened in the dorm, West AJ, and that was the RA and a young woman. I must have heard, probably on Facebook, that there had been a second shooting, and they thought 22 people were dead. And it was actually much more than that, but we didn't know the numbers or the details for a long time. I guess I probably found that out around 9:30, something like that. When it did start to sink in, I was sort of like, I was running through the calculations. I was like, how many people do I know here at Virginia Tech? Maybe like 1,000 tops, you know. And if 22 people are dead, what are the chances that I know one of them? And I realized, I was like, wow, you know, 22, it's a campus of like 30,000. There's a pretty good chance that I know somebody in there. Her name is Maxine Turner. We all called her Max. All of her friends called her Max. I met her, I guess, probably through martial arts. She and I both did Taekwondo together. And I guess she started the second semester of her first year. So that's probably when I really started to get to know her. And that was my sophomore year. And we were friends for several years, and then we started dating, I guess, almost exactly 6 months before she was killed. And then we actually only dated for about 3 months, and then we went back to being friends. We kind of got to be better friends, actually. And then we ended up having one more date 3 days before she was killed. That would have been our 6-month anniversary, actually, which I didn't realize at the time. And didn't realize until after she died, and I'm sure she knew. I just, yeah. The shooting actually happened about the last 3 weeks of the school year. Max and I were supposed to graduate 3 weeks later, and we were actually going to walk together in graduation. I would say every minute of those 3 weeks was perfect agony for almost everybody at Tech. And I decided actually just a few weeks before the shooting happened that I was gonna go to the University of Texas for graduate school. And I still remember coming down here for the tour, and on the tour they were like, and you can still see bullet holes from the original shooting. And I'm like, wow, I remember thinking like, wow, that's kind of an insensitive thing to bring up on the tour, like the original shooting, making it sound like it's almost a novelty. And then it was, I didn't know that it would become so, real to me. Those first few weeks back to class, both at Virginia Tech and here, I remember thinking, like, agonizing constantly over what I would do if that happened, if there was an active shooter situation. If somebody walked through the door with a gun. First of all, where would I sit? Where could you sit in a classroom where you would be safe? Do you dive behind the podium? Do you sit closest to the door so you can like try to elbow the guy or something? Do you sit in the front row so he gets to you last? Do you carry a handgun with you? Does that help? If you don't expect somebody to come through your classroom door with a gun, can you be prepared? And can you ever be prepared? Could you really shoot somebody? You don't really know what they want. Maybe. But I spent a lot of time wondering, not only in that classroom at UT, but if I'd magically been able to beam into Max's classroom, is there a place that I could have put myself that I could have stopped him? There's just so many things we could have done leading up to April 16th. And, the university administration knew about this kid. And they were like, should we tell his parents? No, there's a law that says we're not supposed to violate his privacy that way. You can definitely violate his privacy if his life is in danger. And they knew he was a danger to himself because he'd been stabbing a knife into the floor of his dorm room and threatening to kill himself. And that's why he'd been sent to the court in the first place. So anytime you try to talk about any of the issues about prevention of horrific situations like this, immediately somebody pops up and they goes, well, if only those students had had guns, maybe they wouldn't have been victims. And I think that's a sick thing to say. So the first time I heard about it was in 2008. It was right before the first anniversary of the shooting. First time I heard about it in Texas. And I'd heard about it from people in Virginia. But, like a lot of people, I sort of hadn't taken it entirely seriously. And then I started seeing reports that there were lawmakers who were going to introduce it, that they already had a bunch of people who wanted to vote for it. And I started sort of talking about it with people here and there, and I was like, look, they're going to try to put guns on campuses, and they're going to try to use Virginia Tech to do it. And people would be like, that's absurd, that's never going to pass. That's what most people on college campuses think, They would never put more guns in classroom to solve the problem with guns, right? And I guess I sort of thought, if I just went and I talked to these lawmakers and I just told them what it was really like in there from what I know from talking to survivors, they will do something else with their time. What I do isn't about guns. For me, it's about campus safety. I would like to make campuses safer. If I could prevent other people from having to go through what we went through at Virginia Tech, I would do anything in my power to do that, even if it was allowing guns on campus. And I truly don't believe that that is. I already told you it was kind of complicated with me and Max. We dated for 3 months, and then we got to be better friends, and then we went out on one more date. And the news kept reporting, like, John Woods' girlfriend was killed at Virginia Tech, and I was like, would she have wanted me to call her that? Would she have wanted the news to call her that? And I went and discussed that with her family, because I didn't want to do anything that would dishonor her. But what her family has told me, and I totally agree with this, is that Max never would have wanted a gun in class. It just was not appropriate to have a gun, in a classroom. And even though she'd experienced personal tragedy herself, I think that was true. And then when she was killed, she never saw him come in. So when we say, not having a gun makes you just a victim waiting to happen, then that's absurd, Even if she'd had a gun, she still wouldn't have survived.
I knew 6 of the students killed, among them Maxine Turner, who was a friend throughout college. We practiced martial arts together, and our senior year we dated. 3 days before the shooting, on Friday, April 13, 2007, I escorted her to her sorority formals. It was our 6-month anniversary. She was one of the brightest, most energetic, good-hearted people I've ever met. I loved her, and I never told her that, so I'm putting it on the record here today.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Current, the only show where if your answer is fallopian tubes, you'll still get a point. I'm your host Jose, and with me we have a special select group of guests. Like they mentioned before, it is our crossover episode with Capital Cineforum. Immediately to my left we have...
Jay Kong.
Ibit Brazil.
Edward Whitliff.
So, quick breakdown of the rules. These guys debate, I give them points, we send home a loser, and then we crown a winner. Sound fun?
So, like, crowns, you guys are providing me with the crown.
Define crown,
So,
it's
a
very
crown,
loosely defined term.
I have very specific... I'm allergic to nickel. I don't know if I sent that in.
Can I get it if it's a tiara? Can I get a tiara if I win? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's-
I want something feminine with diamonds. So,
Moving on.
Anyways.
So our first topic of the week, guys, it's going to be Star Wars Blu-ray. What'd you think of it?
Episodes 1, 2, and 3 don't count. 4, 5, and 6 do.
Right.
Yep.
Just saying.
I think we can all agree on that.
If you're a director out there and you have a vision for a film, then wouldn't you say you have the right to get that film out there and let it be there in its full glorified masterpiece? There are a very select group of people who do think that the films are great. I mean, namely, he reached his targeted market, children. He looped in all the children. He has done what not many directors have managed to accomplish. He's brought in generations.
You can span generations, you can reach target audiences, and you can make a ton of money. But you can, he chose to mess it up. He chose to make a really shoddy product because he leaned on the fact that he knew he was going to make revenue.
And now that onto that episode 1, terrible story. I mean, you start with a trade dispute. I mean, can't you go back to the old formula, just relying on Western samurais and all those things, just meshing together?
70-minute doc.
So I take it you're not into politics. Why are you on a debate show, Jake?
Well,
Why are you on a debate show?
okay, don't mix politics into Star Wars, because once you mix politics into Star Wars, you destroy the whole formula.
That's a super good point, because like the original trilogy was like camp. It was like playful camp. It was like fun. And then they were like, what if we make it like about the meaning of political life and like do
No
George
poli-
Bush
That's
parallels?
Star Trek.
No political
That's
subtext.
Star
I
Trek's,
like that. No political
area.
subtext. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what Star Trek
So,
was.
It was good to go back to Star Wars. Like, Star Wars, we don't watch Star Wars to like... It's not a show. It's a set of movies.
You want to be entertained.
So
There's
you're
a
saying,
difference.
so everybody here is in agreement that the thematic
It messed a lot
politics
of it
in
up.
really messed
It
up.
was handled
Did it
poorly.
overshadow the awesome romance story?
There
The
was
awesome
no
romance.
romance.
The
That's a romance
I was
story.
into romance.
What is so awesome
It
about
starts with-
an
it starts
eventual
with
incestuous
horrifying-
relationship?
It's so
Natalie Portman
forced.
isn't
It's
hot enough for you guys?
forced. It's forced.
Okay,
It's forced.
okay, I thought we were
It
talking
used
about
the Force.
Force.
It
I
used
thought we
the
were talking
Force.
about
It
Luke
used-
and Leia, because that romance
Oh,
is like incestuous, and then you find
Yeah.
out it's incestuous in the last movie, because
Well,
you're
that
like,
love triangle is just wonderful, but like,
it's wonderful. You find out that the woman you're supposed to love is her sister.
I'm talking about cinematically, it's good. It's
No,
riveting.
it's not good when you
I'm
find
not
out.
talking
every
about the
incest
Force.
one's in
Are
there.
you
I'm not talking
Disney-
about the 40-year-old chain-smoking blob. I'm talking about Natalie Portman. Was it not
Okay,
worth the walking
Natalie
her?
Portman
You
is
just called
Portman.
Princess Leia a 40-year-old
You just called
chain-smoking
Carrie
blob?
Fisher a
Yeah.
40-year-old chain-smoking blob.
Yeah, what about
Okay,
that?
I'm just
when it
making
does-
sure that
when it does
everyone
come to
that
Natalie
you're
Portman,
owning
though,
me that.
You
and
lose a
that
point. You
Yeah.
lose a
That-
point.
When it does come to
I
Natalie
have
Portman,
You
those
though,
lost a point with your viewers, sir.
Welcome back from the break. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, last segment, very interesting. Moving on. Film versus digital.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
Film versus digital.
Oh boy.
Heated opinions.
Here we
All
go.
right.
Oh boy.
So, guys, or Jake, are you even a filmmaker? Do you?
No, I don't make any films, but like I say,
That was
Your opinion. What is your
No,
opinion on
that
this?
was the way to ask
lose
that
a
question.
point.
Are you even a filmmaker?
All right, so guys, your job is to convince Jake, the American audience. On your mark, set, go.
It's like, okay, to convince you of film, Jake.
Portrait of America.
Here we go, Jake.
Portrait of America here, right? Trying to appeal to America right now.
Where
Yeah.
do I even
Be
start?
You start by checking your notes.
First of all, Edward's a and I did a lot of research. I've been a filmmaker since I've been seriously into filmmaking since I was 15, and like all of us here, I think we all started out on a digital camera. I think everyone sort of like has come into filmmaking on digital, and that being said, I think that they're both very viable options. However, I'm arguing for film as the preferred medium for people who are care more about quality and finesse, and the skill level is higher for people to work with film. People who work with film can shoot digital. People who work on digital can't necessarily shoot film. I think that it is the endpoint that filmmakers all strive to shoot on, 35 millimeter. Even in the digital age, we can talk all about how digital cameras are making film obsolete, but that being said, the past 10 years, the best picture, every best picture has been shot on film except like one, I believe, and like two of the best cinematographies have been like digital. So, I mean, film is still a very viable option. Digital has not surpassed film and has not made it obsolete yet.
It seemed like your argument was that film it is a lot better because it does require a higher skill level. Is that your main argument?
Not just because it requires a higher skill level, but I mean the image quality is so much superior to that of digital. The cameras that you're shooting on right now, they have lost 75% of their color information.
Our cameraman is really upset
You
about
guys,
this. He's crying.
no, like I'm serious.
He's
like
flicking
DSLRs.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
DSLRs. Even the 7D, I own a 7D.
Right.
75% of the color information is
It's
gone.
Edward's turn.
It's Edward time. Digital is a viable option. I think the gap is closing aesthetically. You're able to get closer and closer, and as the technology increases, I think right now there's a clear aesthetic differentiation between film and digital. I think that line will blur. I think you will eventually lose less color quality, and I think especially digital is able to adapt and change and grow. I think film is a little bit static, so I think that gap's going to close, and there'll be more interesting things you can do with digital in the future that you can't do with film. I mean, so certainly yes, for right now, aesthetically, there's something to film. But I think we shouldn't discount digital because it's cheaper or easier either, because I think like there's something to say about democratically allowing people to make the films they want to make without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars that they can't afford. I think digital has been tremendous for independent film and putting film cameras or digital cameras in the hands of people who could never have afforded a film camera in the past.
That being said,
right.
That being said, I think that there's there's way more filmmakers out there now because of digital filmmaking, which is both good and also, I think that it also cheapens. We have DPs out there that they just shoot on their DSLRs or their like handy cams.
With autofocus on.
I'm a DP. I'm a DP. I'm a DP. When they don't really know anything about photography or like the fundamentals of anything like that.
That's true. But I mean, the stuff that you shoot on a DSLR, because I'm just going to say, like, Ibit's an incredible DP, the stuff that you shoot on DSLR looks better than the stuff that other people shoot on a DSLR because you know what you're doing with it. So knowing what you're doing still matters, but the barriers to entry are just so much lower.
Right, well, I mean, a good filmmaker can make any camera look good.
It was a great argument, guys. I think we made a lot of progress. I think we're all closer because
No,
she's a piece
of guys, this is really nasty, man. Just please.
I really do.
All right, well, so now that we've built this happy, beautiful family, it's time for us to tear it apart and totally change it.
What?
Jake, you're getting a sex change.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Hey.
Party.
All right, I'll just snap my fingers and it'll happen.
See, totally different person, equal representation, right?
Straight up.
Straight up, yo. This is straight up different than the previous Jake.
This is pretty kooky.
Jake,
It's pretty
Jake
straight
Part
up.
2.
This is some witchcraft here. This
Yeah,
is
it's
witchcraft.
like very incestual in a way. It's like our
Yeah.
family just kind of like had. You know what that reminds me of? You know
Oh
what
my
that
God.
reminds me of, guys? Star Wars.
Oh.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
Star Wars.
because there was incest in Star Wars.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Old Boy,
Damn.
actually. Old Boy.
Oh,
I hear you
yeah.
guys have a lot to say about Old
Oh,
Boy.
yeah.
Party
Hollywood,
time.
This is good.
Hollywood wants to remake this movie. Our question is, should they? We're going to start off with our better Jake 2.0.
Right.
Jake, what are your thoughts?
No.
No. Okay,
No.
moving on. Evan, what are your thoughts?
You know, I honestly don't think so either. I really
I
like
win.
the original Old Boy. But no, Edward, convince me.
Is it my
Convince
turn?
me, Edward.
You mean be
Why don't you
convinced?
convince
You
me?
want to be convinced?
Why don't you
dude?
Have your
Because
argument so
you're
we
so-
can tear it apart.
Convince me, bro. Convince me.
All right, here's how it works. Like, first of all, the director matters. Spike Lee matters. If it was anyone else, I would think they were just going to be playing ball with the studios and making a studio version.
They'd just be passing strange.
Are we making references now?
But Spike Lee's got Jungle Fever. but no, SpikeLee has a history, I think, as we all know, of doing things his own way, and I think
does the right
that'll
thing.
be interesting. Damn
I
it.
thought you were going to say Coke. Go on.
So he will do something with it that will be stylistic, the way that the original film was. It'll be different, but it won't be a generic studio, like just another output of the studios.
Is Spike Lee going to have imply some race in this? Is he going to make it about
Maybe.
black
Yeah,
black
some
people?
political
no,
undertones,
actually,
racial
More political
tensions.
undertones.
I have to say, though, that this actually really reminds me of the two films Wreck and Quarantine, and I think that the reasons for the remake is honestly because it's not in English.
I'm just going to give the audience a little bit of history just in case they don't know it.
Educated.
The,
Educated.
Old Boy is a movie, Korean movie, directed by Park Chan-wook, a
Nice.
2003 movie,
Yeah,
and
don't-
actually 2009 there
Bleep
were
the spoilers.
talks about
Seriously.
a remake, and that was going to be, that had Steven Spielberg and also Will Smith. Thank
Right.
God for that being dead,
I agree.
okay? I
Will
personally
Smith.
can't say anything about Spike Lee, but the problem that I have with Old Boy being remade is that it doesn't need a remake.
It's not that we need it, but it could still be an interesting and aesthetically appealing, artistically engaging film. We don't need, like a lot of the films that come out, but they crop out of like certain generational preoccupations. And if Spike Lee taps into something that we're preoccupied with as a generation, I say more power to him.
I think everybody deserves a fair choice to be able to, or, I mean, that is what you're saying. Everybody deserves a fair chance to make their own piece of art,
Yeah.
if it is some form of an adaptation. But Amanda, what you are saying is that the previous film by itself, is
It's
an
okay.
incredible piece of art. It doesn't need to be
It's
touched.
wonderful. It's wonderful. It's
But-
absolutely beautiful.
You're good at this recap
Yeah.
thing. You're recapping
Yeah,
like
yeah,
really
yeah,
well,
yeah.
man.
I listen. I had girlfriends. Not anymore.
Oh no.
Moving on. So speaking of terrible things that blow up in your face, Troll 2 and The Room.
Woo!
You've all seen
The
them.
Room.
You've probably seen them. I wonder why. Which one's the worst movie of all
Why
time,
would you
guys?
say? That's the thing. I think they're
True,
amazing
too.
movies. Like, but
Convince me.
But here's the thing, though. The difference between Troll 2 and The Room is that The Room is The Room because it was made so unintentionally. It was unintentionally bad. Troll 2 was like totally self-aware.
Yeah, here, let me give some backstory a little bit for people who may not have seen them. The Room, made by a guy named Tommy Wiseau, who thinks he's a genius, who's really, really bad at movies. Troll 2, made by a director who actually didn't speak English, the language of the screenplay, and made a really bad movie. And they're both really engaging and terrific because they're so, so bad.
I mean, they both have the cult followings for a reason, but I think that, like, I like The Room because I like the fact that Tommy Wiseau was so completely
Crazy.
blind.
Why did he shoot the roof scenes with a green screen?
I
Why did
don't
he show us his
know!
butt?
roofs?
Why did he show us his butt?
Because
That's my question.
That ass. That's why.
I want to know
There's like
more.
5 sex scenes and they're all like 10 minutes long.
And then the R&B,
repeat.
like, music. And
What?
Final sentence. Room vs. Troll 2. Just final thoughts.
They're eating her now. They're going to eat me next. Oh my god.
And I see that and I raise you, you're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Thank you.
Alright.
Alright, guys. I think we've had an enchanting episode. We've learned
Yes.
a lot. We've crushed some souls.
We swapped some genders.
I have to
Well,
take a
it's
shower,
not
honestly.
And we changed lives, guys. The winner, me, of course. I had to sit through this.
Wait a
Really
minute.
appreciate it. You're watching the
I
current
won.
Capital Cineforum crossover. Check
I
out
won.
more on
Spike Lee, don't mess
TextureTV.com.
up.
You didn't do the right thing.
I did what I had to do.
Why don't we all just act like Malcolm X for a minute? And just think what he would do.
But that's because it's gotta have it.
Oh, wait.